It's derby weekend in the Premier League. London, Merseyside, and then Arsenal and Manchester United.
Yep.
Arsenal United first.
It's actually arguably the big game in Europe. So I think that we could just start off from there.
But how do you say it's the big game in Europe when some of the elements are not big teams in Europe?
No, but it is a big game in Europe based on the current form
maybe
of
Arsenal are just leaders, but Arsenal are not a big team
but then
in Europe.
if they are not a big team in Europe, then we can't even say United is a big team because United.
What should we say is the Europa League final?
We can say United is a big team. United have a reputation. What is the reputation of Arsenal? That's just by the by. I mean, I know Arsenal supporters will not be excited.
In a way, we agree. Yes. It's a big game on paper,
yes.
But on hindsight, it's just one of those games.
I think the bigger team has to be Arsenal. Going to the game, they could actually go in the game on Sunday, still top of the table. They could go in that game with an unbeaten run.
Yeah.
And it will come up against the United side that are resurgent, back-to-back wins. It could go into that particular game also three games on the trot with wins, and that should make for an exciting game at Old Trafford on Sunday. And you look at the game and where exactly it could be won or lost. I feel this will be the very big test for Erik ten Hag. Liverpool, maybe you might want to say, came in lightweight, didn't have much of their big hitters in the game, but for Arsenal, I think this would be a very, very big test for Erik ten Hag.
I agree that it's Ten Hag's biggest test, but I look at one element about this Arsenal team, and I feel the absence of Thomas Partey. I don't know if he'll be around by then, but I don't.
No, he's actually been confirmed to miss that particular game,
and it's really going to affect them because the steel, the energy, the vision that he brings to that Arsenal midfield, you do not get that in El Neni.
Maybe Ten Hag has been fortunate because all of the big games, somehow there's an injury ruling out the big players.
Yeah, maybe you can say it's fortunate, but I think whatever it is in this game, Arsenal are going to this game ranked third in terms of goals that has been scored in the Premier League. They are averaging 3.0 goals. United are ranked 14, averaging 1.0. It means that United are not scoring more and they are considered actually on a negative, goal. What is it called? Difference in the league. While Arsenal are, +8. Arsenal are scoring. They are not conceding. United are not. They are conceding. They are not scoring. What I think would be the key elements in this game is look at how Arsenal play. The ability to create. We've spoken about them extensively. The ability to create overloads. In that full back area and on the wide areas. Can they do that with Malathia and Diego Dalot? Would they be able to do that? That's where some of the key battles will be won. But from what we've seen from the energy, the tenacity from Malacia, from Martinez, it's going to be an interesting battle. I don't know.
Well, you guys speak a lot about Arsenal having a lot of Arsenal. Really, I don't think Arsenal have a lot of Arsenal. If really you look at the Liverpool game and the sort of personnel Liverpool came up with, I don't think there's anybody in the Arsenal team that could rival Luis Diaz. I don't think there's anybody in the Arsenal team that could rival Bobby Firmino. I don't think there's anybody in the Arsenal team that could rival Mohamed Salah.
That could be true, but you look at Arsenal.
You're talking about just
looking at the team component.
Arsenal are a team coming into that game, as opposed to Liverpool, who were not a team coming into that game.
Traditionally, if you've gone back to the games between Arsenal and Manchester United, it's always been about characters. It's never been about a team on form. It's always been about the team who wants to win it most.
United has been unbeaten in 3 games against
Manchester United.
I agree. But you see,
even when Arsenal were not strong back then,
I look through the ranks of the Arsenal team. Who are the characters? Who are the characters that could potentially stand
There's
up?
Gabriel Jesus who has changed the mentality of how these guys play.
Let me tell you something. You talk about the absence of Partey. Can Arsenal deal with the tenacity and the steel of Casemiro?
You see, Casemiro
can
is just...
Gabriel alone handle the class around Martinez and Varane?
Come on, comparatively, Gabriel is more experienced than Martinez.
I think that this will be a game that will be won in the middle, and obviously in the middle, Arsenal are lightweight. There's no Partey, there's El Neni, there's Xhaka. Yeah,
but they have that young guy Vieira.
Yes, I agree. But Casemiro in full flight code about negate Partey and Chaka, even if they played. Understand? So you're talking about and please, I mean, we are talking about Odegaard, we are talking about all of the other guys, we are talking about. I think that it will make an interesting.
There's a potential debut for Anthony, and given how Arsenal have been quite strong on the their fullback areas. This could represent a very ideal test.
This could represent
unleash us Anthony on Zinchenko.
A bit of Anthony. If you watch how he plays,
Otieni, you know, whoever he plays.
Yeah, if you watch how Anthony plays, Anthony brings something that the United players that have played wide do not bring. The likes of Sancho, the likes of Rashford, whoever decides to play in those wide areas. What Anthony does is that he's not looking to do that link-up play. That's the difference between himself and Sancho. Sancho is not the guy that would go past, fullbacks. He would want to do a link-up play with either Bruno or whoever is there. Then he dashes for a pass. But Anthony will want to drive at you because he thinks he's skillful enough to beat you one-on-one. And that's one thing the fullbacks of Arsenal would have to be very, very cautious, because nobody will take that away from him. He's very skillful. But if you look at his conversion rate, 14%, very poor.
Somebody asked me to ask you, how much did Barca pay for De Jong again?
The money they bought for De Jong, I think around 70.
But I mean, is anybody in need of a purchase? I think Chelsea are in dire need of purchase. They go into the weekend against West Ham.
Yeah, who wins? Arsenal, United.
Well, United for my money.
Who wins?
I definitely go with Arsenal.
I think I'll go with Arsenal, but I'm expecting both teams to score though.
No, I think United will beat Arsenal handsomely.
You spoke about Chelsea. Let's talk about Chelsea.
Are they in crisis?
I don't think I think it's too early to press the crisis button. Yes, I've always told you, teams need.
Scott Parker's gone after 4 games,
yes,
and you don't think it's too early?
That's Bournemouth. They are not serious. You play against Arsenal. You play against Liverpool. You play against City. How many of the big guys have played these teams?
I think it's pressing the panic button too early.
Too early.
Anyway.
You played 3 of the best teams this season, and you lose against these teams, and all of a sudden you sack Scott Parker.
Maybe it was in the manner they had to collapse against Liverpool.
But Chelsea, Tuchel, they've got him Fofana, but I don't think he'll play. He'll play over the weekend.
I feel he could come in as a sub because the deal has already been completed. They have ample time to register him and all of that. What do you think
is wrong with Chelsea? This Chelsea defense, because I didn't actually expect them to struggle, because we know Koulibaly very strong on the ball, very good on the ball. Thiago Silva very experienced, but we know age is a huge factor. But they seem to be struggling.
Well, Koulibaly, 31 years. Has never been
the entire defense is overhand.
I get the point you're making about Koulibaly, 31 years, has never been one of those players who use more of their brain. Forgive me, you understand? I think that Koulibaly all throughout his career,
born kind of person.
Exactly, he's always gone in with sheer brute. He's one who does the physicality. He's more unexpected the physicality. So if you ask him to come to the EPL and all of a sudden adjust the pace and the wild nature of the EPL, I think is going to be a big problem. And Thiago Silva, excellent defender, one of the defenders who is able to read spaces and do all of the right things, reading the spaces. But I think that he's getting old. He's lost a yard of pace, or maybe he's lost 2 years of pace.
That's why they signed Fofana, to show up that age
honestly
issue.
think Fofana is a great signing. Yes,
one
the kid has played just 57 games.
French talents out there.
Fofana brings in a lot more that Chelsea do not have in terms of lowering their total age value of the defense, and then bringing them a lot more dynamism and pace. You understand? I think that Chelsea, I think Tuchel needs to take a chunk of the blame.
Yeah.
It looks like anytime I watch Chelsea play this season, some of the players think they've already arrived, and we've spoken at length about self-actualization. We've spoken about length about players needing a bit more of motivation. I look at these Chelsea players. I look at Kai Havertz. I look at all of the Mason Mount.
Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, 5 games, 0 goals, 0 assists between the two of them.
I look at them. I think that, listen, these are kids who think that they have won the Champions League, they've won the World Club Cup. But where lies the motivation?
Probably
this is where I think
you might
the
want to cut some slack in that they've played quite a number of games.
Quite a number of games.
You look at Mount.
You have not played more games than Karim Benzema or Vinicius.
No, but
you're not even Vinicius. Kevin De Bruyne.
You look at Mount. He looks a guy that needs a good rest. He looks a guy that has really been worn out. You speak about actualization, but I think beyond the fact that they may probably have
mental.
It's more mental.
Okay.
And I think, in as much as we might want to fault Chelsea for not having the very best, I think Tuchel has also got to take some of the fall, because you look at what you have and work around
the most out of
you
it.
don't play a high line with an aging back line that is nearly running into over 100.
Koulibaly is a disaster waiting to happen.
He was terribly exposed
disaster
at Leeds, Southampton.
All the games they've played.
Prioritized.
Just not to cut you, he's going to be the target for most teams when they play Chelsea.
Exactly.
If Chelsea
teams
do not
have got
alter
pace in
their
the attack,
formation, everybody is going to attack Koulibaly.
But you see, on Tuchel, you have all these deficiencies in your team. Why do you allow two strikers who can put the ball at the back of the net but have not really fitted perfectly into your system? Why do you allow them to go in Lukaku and Timo Werner? Because we spoke about players who are tired, they need rest. So who do you rest when you do not have anybody to replace? People have said, okay, now I think it's time to play Armando Boja and all of that. Because I feel Thomas Tuchel is a bit stubborn, because, listen, if you have a team, I've seen times when Pep Guardiola said...
I think stubborn may not be the word. He's more of a loyalist.
Because I think that I've seen times where Pep Guardiola said, I don't mind conceding possession. I'll play to suit the nature of the game. I've seen it countless times. You've seen Ancelotti do that, where he would let go of his ideals just so he makes sure he sets up... Exactly. The result is important. Right now, the players you have and the players you had, why didn't you ensure, let me play to the strength of the players? We spoke about Lukaku is not a bad player, but how he set the team up, it couldn't get the best out of Chelsea. We've spoken a lot about Chelsea. How about West Ham? They're also struggling.
Yeah, West Ham are struggling, right? I mean,
David Moyes, they've been struggling.
Standard they set for themselves last season.
Maybe they're suffering.
Yes. So why are you then thinking that Chelsea would walk over them?
Well, I don't think it will be a walk in the park for either of these teams. I think it will really be a battle.
It should be an exciting game.
It should be an exciting game, but just a quick one before we go to the next game probably. I think you mentioned the fact that he needs to start realigning with Boja. Maybe Tuchel does not really trust the kids, because we saw how Gallagher performed at Crystal Palace. Anytime I've seen him in the Chelsea jersey, it looks like he doesn't belong here.
I think the Gallagher argument has got to go back to Tuchel, because you look at his days at Palace. Gallagher was more number 10.
Of a number 10.
He had that surety from Sheikh Kouyaté and to some extent Milivojevic, who were providing shield.
That's true.
So Gallagher was advancing with the ball. But with Chelsea, he's been taxed with that particular role to break up play and drive the team forward.
Kind of play. He doesn't do that.
He's not. You look at the tackles that he got himself booked for.
Yeah.
That was pure child play.
So in a way, we are all agreeing that
Tuchel
needs to reform and get things right. Other than that, the battle will be lost before it's even fought.
Another manager.
I don't know if
because clearly,
I don't know if the owner is as
if they lose this coming weekend, that will be a lot of pressure, and then they will fall behind the
one man who needs reformation has got to be Frank Lampard.
Yes, he's coming up against
the pressure to
Lampard, Gerrard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Same basket. Lampard, Gerrard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Same fruit in the
same basket. You know, Gerrard had quite a reputation when he came to
Aston
the EPL, Aston Villa to be precise.
Because he had done wonders with Rangers.
He had done wonders in that Scottish league. But every time I see Gerrard coaching,
don't you think he needs to go through that process of learning, failing, relearning, unlearning, failing, learning? Don't you think it helps?
The problem is that with the EPL, you are not going to be afforded that opportunity. I mean, look, we just had a conversation on Scott Parker and Bournemouth. Look at the amount of job, the amazing job he's done with Bournemouth, carrying them back. I mean, because for somebody to stand in for Eddie Howe, for all of the high standards that Eddie Howe has set for Bournemouth, for Scott Parker, who had a terrible time with Fulham, for him to go back to the Championship and then play the kind of football
Football they
Bournemouth
play.
were playing,
Yeah.
and then
They
all
just
of a
let him
sudden
go.
the
So,
panic button is.
Merseyside derby, Liverpool, Everton. Where do you think this game would go?
Well, once it's Lampard, I think
It's
Liverpool
purely
wins.
Liverpool. We could probably see a repeat of the 9-0 shellacking that we saw at Bournemouth.
Lampard in his last 2 games has not lost.
He's actually been lucky. To be fair,
I think he wasn't.
yesterday
I
he
think
was lucky.
against Leeds, they played pretty well.
you've got Gordon, who's been the shining light. I'm not in charge of Everton transfers, but hey, I think we all know Gordon is not worth 60 million. If I were to be them, I'd tell Poli, bring that money immediately.
60, no, 100, 150. Look, the market is about demand and
but-
supply.
Yeah, but that's
They're
like
they're
this
prepared to
like
offer you
kid who-
60.
no, but
Just
this
grab
like
that
kid who
money
is worth
and go
the
get
run.
grab that money, run away, go get equal replacements, and then because Lampard is pretty much struggling with this team.
He's struggling.
He
doesn't
lacks
have
options.
options.
There's no Dominic Calvert-Lewin goes off, and the theme is as thing as dead. They struggle to find
Maybe they
options
have
up front.
So Liverpool winning?
Maybe
Liverpool will definitely stroll past this
Liverpool?
Everton.
How many
They
goals?
play-
They scored 9 in the last game. How many goals do you think they'll score?
6.
Depends on what happens with Newcastle first. I'd want to look at that option first. Depends on what happens with Newcastle.
A quick one before we bow out. City are playing. City are playing. What team actually?
I think City at home over the
Yes,
weekend.
City are at home over the weekend. So it's becoming a bit cliche talking about match because we expect them to do a walkover over most of these, Minos and all of that.
But speaking of home, we're at home at Red Mango as well.
Exactly, we are at home at
Beautiful
Red Mango,
place.
and the gardens and the bar. Listen, it blends perfectly well. So if you need a place to relax with a family, your friends who probably want to go to a place outside the normal place you used to go.
If you actually want a place to watch the
Yeah.
game, Arsenal United is Sunday.
Yeah.
We're meeting
Red-
at the bar
Red
where we are
Mango
shooting
is a
today.
place to be located in the Western region, Ghana, and in Takrady. Hey, subscribe to Sports 101 as always. We want to see your comments, Kofi. We want to see the comments.
Want to see the comments.
We will be engaging with you. Sports 101 on YouTube. My name is Lucky.
My name is Kofi Asedu.
David Affle.